Championship week in the Precision Racing League has been witness to some of the tightest title hunts in their history. The last two nights saw things come down to a single point deciding the winner. With 4 drivers and 13 points separating them, tonight looks set to continue the trend. Will we get another stunner? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 10 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Iowa acts as a bull ring style circuit, especially for vehicles of this caliber. Let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Newton, Iowa, a smaller town situated in the middle of Jasper County. Perhaps best known for being the former home of Maytag and Iowa Speedway, where we find ourselves today. Iowa Speedway is perhaps the best known oval out there not to have a NASCAR Cup Series date. Its 0.88 mile layout has offered a ton of exciting short track races over the years. The Xfinity Series, Gander Trucks, IndyCar, ARCA, and Whelen Modifieds all make trips here every summer. USAC, Grand Am Sports Cars, and several other series have come here over the years, and the track is used all year round for driving schools and other events on the oval and road course. Rusty Wallace helped design Iowa, and he patterned it off a track he saw a lot of success at over the years, Richmond, but it's a little larger and faster. The 12 to 14 degrees of progressive banking in these wide corners really can help get things going. Just watch out for the bumps, as the Midwestern winters have taken a toll on the surface. And a real quick did you know? This track was one of the first built without concrete exterior track walls. It was completely designed with the safer barrier in mind. Enjoy the show at Iowa Speedway.
Well, Chris, this is quite the place to hold the season finale. I feel like with such tight confines, might be a little bit nerve-wracking for some of our competitors.
That's for sure, Joe. This is a short track, but it is very fast. These guys are going to be carrying a lot of speed relative to the size of the track. Look for it to probably start off as a bottom feeder track, maybe work its way a little bit north once we get into it. And tire saving is going to be also another thing that's at a premium here. If you can keep the tires underneath you for the duration of a run, you're going to be in good shape by the time you hit pit road.
We'll see who's able to manage that. It's been a big talking point with a few of our championship rivals. But before we get to all that racing, let's talk about our sponsors, because today's race is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net.
The PRL NASCAR Truck Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader, ready to compete against the financial markets. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. If we take a look at that championship we were talking about, up at the top of it, it is Josh Conker, and after 9 rounds, he has still not taken a win. In fact, of our top 4 that are most likely to be able to try and compete for the championship tonight, he is the only one that has not won. Bradley Holly only 8 markers back, with White and Acosta a little bit more of a distant chance, but could still close in depending on what happens to Conker up there. And then Thomas Sink, he's still eligible, but it'll be pretty unlikely to see him come from 24 points behind. He'll need all 4 of them to have a bad day to really find himself crowned at the end of it. What about the team's championship here, Chris?
Well, not quite as close as our Drivers' Championship. The private label Team Hype has got a pretty sizable lead over the Whataback Overdrive Racing team. Still has a chance, but might be tough going. I believe Car Ramrod technically still has a chance as well. but that would take a small miracle for them to get back in the championship. And then Whataback Back Row Racing pretty much has 4th place sewed up, with the Whataback Next Level Racing team bringing up the back of the top 5.
And of course, for today's event, let's see what the drivers are in for to decide that crown. 115 laps. It is a short track, as we mentioned, so they're going to have to do a lot of them to get up to the regular race length. Now, they don't have a spare truck waiting in the pit, so if they damage it, basically they've got to deal with it or try to spend some time, get it repaired on pit lane. It's a fixed setup, thankfully, so that takes that out of the equation. It's all down to practice and what kind of speed you can find, as well as some of the tire management you heard Chris talking about. But they also have a 24 incident limit. Short tracks tend to cause beating and banging. And if you hit each other too much or spin too many times, you're going to find yourself disqualified from this race. We're waiting for the qualifying to happen here, as we still got a few minutes left in the warm-up. Interestingly, Abner Acosta is leading the warm-up times right now. And again, he is one of our drivers that is able to take the championship. And worth noting, Chris, is well, not only did he take the win at COTA in the trucks, but he won 2 in a row in the Cup Series recently. So Abner has finally got the oval racing kind of nailed down here. So I would not put him out of the question as to maybe sneaking one over, especially if he is as good with the tires as he was these last few races in the Cup cars.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, once you get that first win out of the way and they start rolling in like that, I mean, the confidence has got to be sky high for Abner right now, especially given his position in the championship and how much of the season is left. With just 1 race left coming into it, he's got to be feeling pretty good, despite what that spin that just now might tell you.
Exactly. But what about our other competitors here? Bradley Hawley second in the timing sheets, not too far behind. The man with probably too many championships to count here on the PRL. He could always put another one on his list. And Josh Conker, well, can he finally get that win? It's 42 points for a victory before you get to any of the bonuses, but is 50 max. And we've only had 1 driver actually take those max points so far this season. And that was a driver who's not actually here this evening, Richard Regan Jr., as he's not going to show up to continue to show people how it's done. But we're on board with Mark Kalin right now, who is in the 6th spot on the timing sheets. Looks like he has got not too far to go to get up to the top. Could he maybe be a spoiler with only, let's see, 0.17 of a second up to Acosta?
Yeah, just to make things even more fun for our championship contenders, everyone looks pretty evenly matched towards the top of the field. So that just adds another wrinkle to the process where we might see somebody that's not in the championship be able to be a little bit brave and possibly play the role of spoiler, and could even ruin somebody's championship hopes by taking the win away.
The one I don't totally understand, we saw this the other night in the Cup cars as well, is Elliott White is only 10th in the warm-up. He qualified and practiced poorly at Charlotte in those Cup cars, but then came forward in the race with incredible speed. So not sure if he just really hasn't had the time beforehand to get himself really comfortable or what's been going on this week, but it hasn't looked the best for him. We'll see if he can manage to bring that championship hunt down to the wire and close those 12 points up. As far as if we get a tie in points here this evening, Bradley Hawley has the edge on that since he has 2 wins, but that will mean that if White or Acosta win and tie him, that it'll have to go back on a count back farther than who had the most wins. We'll have to look up exactly what determines that. It's poor Josh Conker, as I mentioned, who's still looking to finally get a W in his stat sheets. Baron Hilton, who has been impressing us lately here in PRL's Oval Series, once again showing that he's been practicing, he's been brushing up. He's actually running 11th right now. Let's hope that his luck turns around a little bit, though, as it's not here off of turn 4 and spins it into the infield.
Well, better to do that in practice than once the race starts, but you're spot on about Baron. He has really stepped up his game the last couple weeks. Obviously, last race didn't turn out quite the way he wanted because of some extenuating circumstances, but still a good performance in qualifying.
All right, last few seconds in our warm-up is finishing up, so we'll be heading off into the qualifying session here in just a moment. Beautiful evening in Iowa that'll take us into the nighttime as the lights have just started to flicker on around the circuit, and only 23 cars have signed up so far. Now, what that means for the championship, though, is that I believe at 42 points, we'll see, I have to do the exact math, but it's somewhere around 20 points minimum that you'll get if you finish half race distance for everybody. So we'll have to remember that as far as since there is no ability for drivers to drop the final race in their drop weeks, all of the drivers will have to count this one, regardless if they showed up or not. Looks like on track, this is the 47, I think, making his way out. That's Hilton.
Yeah, really interested to see what Barron can do today, if he can back up his strong practice performance and his strong qualifying results from the week before.
Also see Cowgill out there. He's just one step ahead of him. I think he'll be the first one to set a time around here as the number 31 rushes down the backstretch into the third corner. Let's see what the established time is going to be. Oh, and it's not going to be anything because he got loose, brushed the wall. That means he's going to lose speed coming down to the first corner. Even his second lap is not going to be representative. Still waiting for a driver to set a time. Looks like Dalton Geyer will be the first one.
Yeah, looks like Barron Hilton had trouble on his lap as well, Joe. So qualifying conditions out here are already tricky for these drivers.
Interesting stuff. Patrick Cowgill, does this one count? It does. It's a 24-3. That's only good enough for fourth. Elliott White is fast here, up to the provisional pole. So clearly sandbagging a little bit in practice.
Well, looking at the time, Joe, it is about a tenth slower than what he ran in practice. So I'm hoping once we get some of the other top runners out there, I hope it doesn't fall too far down the order for him.
Good eye on that. So, yeah, we do have quite a few drivers that have yet to set a time. And since it is a twilight race and twilight qualifying, they may be waiting for that little bit of edge from cooler temperatures as this progresses. It's not going to be significant, but sometimes you need those thousandths of a second in oval racing to get yourself up there, which Colton Lane just did with a 23.8.
Very fast lap for Colton. You know, we haven't heard a lot out of him this season, Joe, but maybe the last race of the season could be the time.
Let's see, I see Josh Conker out on track. All right, our points leader, I think, he was on his first flyer, but he just slid as the 5 also having problems. Wow. And in fact, I think Acosta's going to take a tow and restart his qualifying. I'm not sure if he was on a hot lap there. Brett Adams, where does he put himself? That looks like 10th with his first lap. This is a strange circumstance. It's not terribly cold out there and not terribly hot. I'm not sure why so many are having trouble in qualifying.
Yeah, this does not bode too well for the race conditions. It looks like Bradley Holly's now out on track as well.
And I'm watching to see, it looks like I think Acosta's starting another lap here. Yeah, this one did not count. So I think he was on a hot lap then. Man, this is incredibly unfortunate for him. Mark Kalin, his second lap not going to be an improvement, unfortunately. Who else still needs to set a time? Thomas Sink on his first time was able to take the pole, and he improves yet still to a 23.810 as he's got about 3/4 of a tenth. Oh, and Abner Acosta makes good on his last and final timed lap. The only one to count. He's going to take pole.
Looks like so far Bradley Holly third quick on the charts, and looks like he's pulling pit side, so it looks like that's going to be it for him.
Wow, so Acosta is going to claim the bonus point, or 2 bonus points for pole. Cervantes, is this going to be a fast lap? Yeah, 23.9 for him. which is decent, good enough for a top 10.
And looking at the charts, Joe, Josh Conker only able to put in the 21st quickest time, slowest of the drivers that have put in a lap.
0.6 off, so I suspect his problems coming out of turn 2 that I was able to spot might have something to do with that. He'll have to start from the back of the field effectively, save for 2 drivers who don't seem interested in setting a time because we're already 10 seconds left on the clock. Wow, crazy developments. That certainly puts Acosta, Holly, and White in a better position here once we take the green, but it's still a long race and a lot could change. Qualifying is officially done, so let's go through our starting order. Abner Acosta has put it on the pole with Thomas Sink to his outside. Bradley Holly starts from 3rd with Colton Lane in the 4th position. Elliott White, P5 for him. And you've got Brett Adams to his outside, followed by Doug Evans in 7th, Jim Westerfield in 8th, and Danny Cervantes in 9th. Austin Hunter rounds out your top 10.
Just outside of the top 10 is going to be Charles Sumner in the 11th position. Adam Zemke joining him on row number 6. Dalton Geyer is our lucky 13th starter with Adam Shane to his outside. Row number 8 is going to see Baron Hilton with a top 15 qualifying run with Mark Kalin next to him. Then Stacy Hunter and Nicholas Hunter in row number 9. Patrick Cowgill and Matthew Kohanek are going to round out your top 20 starters.
Last few, including the final driver to set a time, Conker in 21st, then Adams and Young in our 23 truck fields. Acosta could maybe take the championship tonight, or will it be the likes of Josh Conker? Will he do it winless even? Bradley Holly would like another to his belt, and so would Elliott White. We're going to look at our onboard, starting with Patrick Cowgill here. Joining us once again, we saw him in the Cup cars. Let's see if he can have himself a good one here in the trucks. Then, of course, we've got Bradley Holly, who's become very much a staple. Looks like he's chatting a bit with his team before they get going, just finalizing a few things themselves. And I believe up next we've got Austin Hunters on board, waiting to get going. Just sitting in pit lane is Brett Adams, also going to give us a camera this evening. Just relaxing briefly before the tensions heighten here today. Adams going to be starting from way back in the pack tonight. We'll see if he can make a charge. All right, less than a mile circuit. We get 2 pace laps to try and get the trucks in working order here, Chris. We've had 2 championship deciders in a row come down to a single point. Are we gonna get another?
Well, the odds are definitely in our favor right now, with the leader of the championship starting deep in the field, and all the other contenders that have to get by him towards the front. The margins are slim, and this track looks like it's going to be tricky tonight. So there's still a lot at play before this one finishes shaking out.
So many spins, touches to the wall, just incredible moments there in qualifying. It's rare that we see that many drivers make mistakes when trying to set their grid order. Is that going to mean we're going to have a lot of cautions here tonight, or will they be able to hold on to things and make it a clean one? Let's hope for the latter in this case. But Iowa Speedway certainly plays no favorites. They are going to have to work for this win this evening and try and be both fast and clean. Abner Acosta with another pole to his name, his 2nd of the season. It is going to come around turns 3 and 4 as the iRacing pace truck will release him. Now, they are not allowed to make a jump here. They must go on green, and then they can decide when they go on the restarts here in the Oval Series for the PRL. So he'll wait patiently, looking for the flag man, and the green flag is out. Not the best of jumps over those behind him. And in fact, it looks like Bradley Holly's got a pretty good start, but he's boxed in on the bottom as they start to pick up speed through 1 and 2. And then off the corner, already up into second for the multi-time champion as Sink falls to third.
Well, you got to think we're used to seeing Bradley Holly in this position where he will sometimes stalk his prey during the opening stages of a race. So we'll see if this plays out like a classic Bradley Holly style race, or how this one will end up playing out.
A little bit of side-by-side action between Colton Lane and Doug Evans back for the 5th position. They've also got Brett Adams just behind them, following closely. Hugging the bottom side, the 41 of Doug Evans just can't get the speed off the corner. Will this one go to Lane? No. It looks like Evans going to send it in deep.
So far, Abner Acosta setting the fastest lap here and actually beginning to put a little bit of a gap between himself and Bradley Holly, Joe.
Now, in the past, we've talked about Acosta not being as good with the tire management, but lately, and we've already got a caution. Adam Young involved, unfortunately. Is this just a single truck incident? Let's take a look at the replay. I think it was. 21 coming through 3 and 4. I think, is that Sumner behind him?
Looks like Blaine Adams.
Yeah, nobody even near him. Sent it around. Thankfully didn't hit anything, so he's able to get it going, but it sends him to the back of the pack. And we'll get to re-rack him and start again in just a few laps. So yeah, we saw Acosta start to stretch away, and I was saying, Chris, that I don't think I really doubt him quite as much now on him trying to put a gap on guys like Holly from what we've seen in recent races. But even still, unusual to see him actually manage to pull that gap so quickly.
Yeah, it's usually Bradley Holly when he's in that position, Joe. He'll keep the person ahead of him within sight, but at the time of caution, Acosta had gone out to over a half-second lead. So maybe Acosta's just got the raw pace today. Maybe Bradley Holly's playing it extra conservative. It's really hard to tell, and I guess we'll see how it works out once we get later into this run. But this Iowa track has been awfully tricky today, so maybe we have some of these drivers playing it safe also.
A few drivers are playing an alternate strategy. Geyer is in, Kulhanek, and of course Adam Young with his spin. So 3 drivers have taken early stops, but I think all 3 of them were simply for fuel. I don't think anybody took tires with only just a couple laps on them. Definitely something they'll want to save towards later in the race today, but that puts them off strategy. If we get a long green flag run, then they'll have the chance to try and go those couple laps longer.
Yeah, at this point, with how strong the field is, maybe playing the alternate strategy isn't a bad idea. Try something a little bit different, see how it plays out.
Remember, Josh Gawker started 21st. Well, in just those couple laps, he's made it up to 17th. So he's slowly but surely trying to work his way through. We'll see if he can do so safely in the remaining laps. Already had one truck that spun completely on its own. He could so easily be caught up in someone else's error today, even if he's clean.
Yeah, especially on a short track where there's close confines, the odds of getting caught up in somebody else's mess can be pretty high. So you got to keep your head on a swivel, so to speak, and really be prepared for just about anything.
I think we're going to get too wide this time. We should see the lights off on the pace truck. We still have all 23 runners out there after a bit of a quick caution here at Iowa. 115 laps. Not expecting this one to be under pressure for the time limit. We haven't had that much at all in recent seasons here in the PRL trucks. But knock on your favorite piece of wood just in case, now that I've mentioned it. And indeed, we are going to go to green flag racing once again here at the end of this lap.
My favorite piece is a nice little sliver of mahogany.
So looking from, I think, on board Holly here, the 184, looking back at the almost entire field behind him. Only Abner Acosta going to be starting this race ahead of him once again. But this time Acosta will start from the second position and not from the third spot. Will it look a little bit differently, especially since Abner can now go, if I can say it, when he pleases. And he's going to go very quickly. Green flag is out, and Acosta is away. Looks like Hawley is wise to his tricks. He is not caught out. And into third, Thomas Sink slots into line.
Hawley looked like he was really digging on that bottom line when they were trying to get up to speed.
Right now, he's just tucked up underneath the rear spoiler of Abner Acosta. Maybe trying to keep him a little more honest this time. Completing the first green flag lap on the restart. And is Acosta, Hawley, Sink, White, and Evans. Don't count out White in all this. We haven't mentioned him quite as much, but he's now sitting in fourth place. Top two already pulling away from the field.
Elliott White, darn near a Cinderella story if you think about it. Came in, missed the first race, and has just been, outside of last week at Charlotte, just been insanely consistent all season. Really, his first race was already contending for a win, and really hasn't faded much other than the one blip on the radar, which was last week. And I think Elliott White could definitely be a sleeper pick for this championship.
Josh Conquer, our points leaders, already up to 12th place. We've only had 3 laps of green. Remember, he started from 17th. This is some impressive stuff from the 54. Right now, he's trying to size up Shane and Sumner.
You got to wonder if maybe the issues in qualifying maybe put a chip on his shoulder, and the 54 is now driving with a purpose, not just to try and maintain his championship advantage, but also because he's just mad that qualifying didn't work out right.
If he is driving mad, it's certainly a collected mad. We haven't seen anything crazy out of him. In fact, right now, it's not doing any sort of wild moves. He's just kind of patiently picking them off bit by bit. Looks like Evans may have just gotten past White here, demoting him to 5th. Indeed, he did. And Colton Lane is now looking at him. Is something wrong with White's truck?
Boy, I sure hope not. I think he's got a world of potential today, and maybe it could be him playing it overly safe here in the early stages.
Look at that.
It doesn't look, from what I can see, it doesn't look like his truck's too beat up.
Cervantes just got by him as well. I checked back. I didn't see him hit anything. This is very, very strange. He's down to 7th place when he was riding up in 3rd, or 4th rather, not too long ago. Looks like maybe it stopped now. That's the 23 is interested in getting by him here.
Yeah, I was going to say, looks like the 23's getting pretty close to his bumper. In fact, Josh Conquer.
And that's Conquer, yeah.
Yeah, Josh Conquer now going around. That's a guy driving like a man possessed.
On reverse trajectories, White going backwards, Conquer going forwards. This is where they meet in the middle. Is Conquer going to make easy work out of this? Oof, and a little brush of the wall, unfortunately, from the 23, I think. Brett Adams going a little bit high, but thankfully able to keep it going. So as quickly as they met each other, Conquer not able to try and get past him very easily.
Well, I tell you what, Joe, if the 54 can maintain this pace, somebody might want to let Acosta and Hawley know, because he's probably coming straight for them.
Speaking of those two, because we need to get to there, because Hawley is now looking around the outside, a lane up, but slamming the door shut. Acosta moves in front. He was clear. He could easily manage to get in front of him, so not a rude move out of him, but certainly not letting Hawley have his own way. This time he gets overlapped. The 184 is liking this middle lane. Yeah,
I wondered how long it would take for that alternate groove to start to come in here. This track designed by Rusty Wallace, so you know it's a good racing track, and a little bit of progressive banking there is allowing the 184 to pull even.
In fact, he might be ahead at the line. No, well, actually, yes, he did lead that lap. And that, critically, is worth a bonus point for Bradley Holly. Now, he drifts quite high coming off of turn 2, but it looks like it will stick. He doesn't completely have it past the number 5 yet. Let's see if he finishes out of 4.
Looks like he's going to take it, Joe, and now the 5 falls in line behind him. Whatever advantage Acosta had in that first green flag run, looks like it may have faded here as we get 21 laps into this one.
For those wondering, Conker did get past White. He's up to 7th. White's down to 9th. And if you're just joining us, the reason we're focusing on these 4 drivers so much over everybody else, those are our 4 most likely to be able to take a championship. Thomas Sink, who sits in 3rd, is still a long shot, but the longer this race goes, the less likely it's looking. In fact, I think if we hit halfway, if we hit halfway, I think he might be mathematically eliminated.
But sometimes that's the best position to be in. You know, you're totally on the outside. You're just racing to race, and Thomas Sink has shown he's no slouch this season. Wouldn't be surprised to see him sneak up and get on the podium here today.
The 48 still circulating in 3rd. It's a nice run from him. How about the run from Colton Lane? The 60 is now trying to get 4th place actually, away from Doug Evans. There you see him on the bottom side with the deep red machine trying to overtake the Miracle Flows pink, white, and black truck, and he backs out of it. Maybe he's looking for an over-under here. Very different lines between the two, and if he was, it didn't seem to work.
You know, I always like to see Colton Lane do well. He's one of those drivers that's not afraid to go for the bold moves and definitely keeps things exciting. So good to see him running towards the front today.
Well, it was looking intense for a while, but now he's backed off of it. Is he trying to recollect himself, or maybe Evans has responded and picked up the pace a little bit? So we ride on board with Doug. He also likes that middle line, just riding off the bottom. Ooh, this is a good run from Lane. Not good enough of one, though.
No, but he can stay up in that second line for another lap or two and get the momentum built up. He's really closing in here off the 2.
Josh Conker side by side with Danny Cervantes. This is another position he might be able to finish up with. And indeed, he's ahead. Does he drift in front of him? Yes, he does. That'll move Conker up to 6th now. Cervantes is going to try to fight back, switching underneath him. Oh, and they get very close, forcing the 54 to take a very high line into the corner. The fight carries on.
You got to think maybe the tires underneath the 54 are going to start giving up. I mean, he has had to push that truck from 21st all the way up to 6th now. So that truck has not had an easy race.
Now he's finally ahead of Cervantes. Blaine Adams just behind him, kind of threatening, along with Elliott White, who is still kind of going backwards, but not as quickly as we saw before. Oh, Lane and Evans side by side yet again. But Evans once again going to deny the 60. After that very early caution, Chris, we've been mean and green, and certainly not for a lack of racing out there. Plenty of side-by-side action that we've gotten, but certainly looks measured.
Yeah, honestly, I'm actually a little bit surprised the way that practice and qualifying looked. I was really worried we were going to spend a lot of time underneath the yellow flag today. So far, mostly green, and everyone's playing relatively nice for how hard they're racing.
As we watch our leader ahead of Acosta, Bradley Holly did get ahead of him, but he's only about 3/10 past, 4/10 now, make that. The 5 seems to have decent-ish pace. He's keeping him honest at the very least. Could be, once again, that we're seeing the new Abner Acosta, the tire managing Abner Acosta that has figured out how to ride and cruise. Still liking that bottom line comparatively.
Yeah, he's one of the few that looks like they haven't given up on it. And I'm surprised he hasn't really moved up the track more, given how effective it's been for Holly.
Wouldn't the higher line maybe save the tires a little bit, just running a little off the bottom, or am I thinking incorrectly there?
You know, it could. I believe this track does have some progressive banking, so you may be kind of breaking even on that. But it wouldn't surprise me if we see some extra tire life come out of there, and that could be why Holly decided to try that.
Ooh, White is trying to fight back. He got overtaken by Cervantes earlier, and now he's coming back through, trying to get himself into 8th place. They're being washed by Adam Shane. Shane's up from 14th. It's not been a bad day for him. Out of turn 2 and onto the backstretch, all of them giving the wall plenty of girth.
Yeah, this is a place where the wall can really reach out and bite you, especially off of turns 2 and 4. So, not a bad idea to keep your distance.
Well, right now they've not been keeping much distance from each other until now, where Elliott White is able to get by and get that 8th spot. He's got about half a second up to Brett Adams in front of him. As that was happening, Conker took 5th from Colton Lane, and he's only about 4 seconds behind the leaders, the overall leaders. This is quite impressive from the 54.
Yeah, I am very impressed by what we've seen out of Josh Conker. He's shown a lot of speed all season, but especially today, he's shown that he is definitely one to be considered for that championship.
Oh, we got a big melee back around 11th, 12th, 13th. Patrick Calgill, Westerfield, Kalen involved in that one. Almost looked like Kalen was a little slow. Not sure if he got wheel spin or had some other issue. He's right down on the yellow line and being pinched that far to the bottom. He does not have the speed others do, as the 57 of Zemke just about punts him.
Yeah, he filled that slot, and I was really worried the 57 was going to run over him here. That was a very tense moment. Now they're 3 wide if things weren't crazy enough. Something
seems wrong with Kalen. He is going to be on the high side of that 3 wide situation. Zemke in the middle, Hunter at the bottom. From above, you can see all 6 cars battling for what is the 11th spot at the front of him. That's Calgill and Westerfield. Calgill on the high side in the yellow.
And this is just a hornet's nest. Definitely the most out of balance battle we have on the track right now. And look at the 98 just looking for somewhere to go, and he obviously has the speed here, but of course you have 2 trucks in front of you that are racing side by side, so it's a matter of which way do you go, which line do you choose, and maybe do you stick your nose in there and make it 3 wide.
So far he's not been brave enough to try it. Westerfield still holding the bottom. Yeah, I think if we're going to get a caution, this is the most likely area to produce it. And off of turn 4, Westerfield, can he finally shut the door? Not quite. Calgill still going to keep his foot in it, sending it down into 1 and 2. He starts to fall back. I think the 35 could indeed shut the door. This time he does, going up high to the racing line and getting himself officially into 11th.
You know, Joe, it seems like every week we have this conversation where there's these intense battles with 5, 6, 7 trucks at a time. And we're always saying, wow, it's just a matter of time before there's a caution. And sometimes that caution never comes. And it's just another testament to how great the talent level is here in the PRL.
Speaking of talent level, Conker has caught up to Doug Evans. And I think he's looking for 4th position.
Yeah, not just caught him, Joe, but he's looking to pass him already.
running about the same line as the 41 as we look from the rear bumper of Evans. Back at Josh Conker. What if we could get a lap comparison between Conker and Holly? Because it doesn't look like he's losing time. If he is, it's in very tiny chunks. But if he's running the same or faster pace than the leaders, then yeah, the win might actually still be on in spite of his failure in qualifying. And it looks like Holly is faster though.
But you got to think also, Holly's had clear track, and Conker's been in a battle for a good chunk of those laps.
It's a fair point. That certainly is not helping him. But he did have some clear space before he caught up to Evans, so that did allow him some time to maybe run something closer to his pace. So I'm not totally convinced that Conker is necessarily able to keep up with Bradley Holly.
Ideally, I'd like to see those two go heads up with equal tires and equal track position, and see what they could do, because you got to think Conker's probably used up his stuff a pretty fair amount trying to march up from 21st. Obviously, it hasn't slowed him down much because he's still passing trucks, but you got to think there's a little bit more wear on his vehicle versus Holly, who's been first or second for the whole race.
You know, that I could be convinced is the bigger issue here. Conker having to make so many passes and be aggressive in traffic. Yeah, that could definitely eat up that rubber. Whereas you see Bradley Holly, he's essentially, other than passing Sink at lap 1, has only had to pass one other car, and that's Acosta. He did so pretty quickly in this last restart. Since then, it's been his race to manage. Acosta still right down on the yellow line. We're getting close to the halfway point after a single caution. We continue to race green. When will we see green flag stops, though?
That's the million-dollar question. We've seen those pit stops really make a difference in some of our events this season, Joe. And I think especially today, those green flag pit stops are going to be pretty tense with so much on the line.
Absolutely. It's going to make a big difference. The smallest decisions that you make in that pit stop sequence. Boy, look at the gap that these two are pulling. Sink back by 3 seconds behind them. We're honestly not even really getting them in most of our camera shots. Yeah, you can't even see them. Look at that.
Wow.
As we go off sync, looks like up at the front, Bradley Holly is not going to be able to run away with this one. Acosta has been riding that rear bumper, making sure that Holly knows he's there. They are going to be able to lap Adam Young here pretty soon, maybe struggling from those worn tires that took a spin.
What a turnaround Acosta has been able to do this season on his tire game, Joe. At the start of the season, by his own admission, he was not great on tire conservation, and in the last few weeks, it seems like he's been one of the best at it.
I mean, I feel like this is and Brett Adams is in the infield. He has spun off. Now he's off the racing line, so there's no caution. He's facing the wrong way. He's going to want to get this turned around. Oh, don't bring out the caution here. Okay, no caution. He's got it going. Now, did the 60 do anything with this? Oh, yeah, but the 60 didn't start it. Just kind of didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, the 60 was definitely involved, but I don't think it was of his own doing.
No, I can't blame him on that one. I was surprised that Adams didn't bring out the caution here. Look at him trying to get it going. He's very lucky that the stewards were okay with that. Ooh, and did Mark Kalin just come in and out of the pits? Yes, he did. Is this a scheduled stop for the 62? It looks like it was. All right. We got some gamblers here tonight. Kalin and no, Kulhanek was earlier on. Yeah, so it's only Kalin that has stopped so far.
Looks like it must have been a relatively clean stop, not too long in pit road, but definitely caught us off guard, Joe. We definitely weren't expecting it. Oh, and Holly now coming down to pit road.
Cowgill and Nick Hunter are both on pit lane.
Oh, nope, guess
Now,
that wasn't Holly. It must have been somebody that looks like him.
This is just about at the halfway point, so I wonder if they're thinking the undercut here. Oh, and Hunter went past his pit stall under green flag conditions. It'll cost him dearly. He's easily going to be beat out by Cowgill, who came into the pits in front of him. Now, the danger is if they get a caution, these trucks are trapped not just 1 lap down, but 2 laps down.
Yeah, these short tracks, you lose a lot of time hitting under green.
Colton Lane is in. Now, this seems to have triggered a bit of a chain reaction. I did not expect to see pit stops at this stage of the race. I figured most drivers would maybe try to go a little longer. Sink follows.
And with that too, Joe, we also have Holly and Acosta battling for the lead. So it looks like now that the dominoes have started to fall as far as pit stops go, it looks like Acosta's turned up the wick a little bit and is starting to pressure Holly.
Oh, and there's the caution. Oh, no. Who caused it? I'm trying to find it.
Was it Brett Adams?
I'm not seeing. Brett was in the pits. Trying to find it. I'm not seeing.
Yeah, usually you can tell by somebody falling down the running order who it is pretty quick, but with pit stops going on, it threw a little bit of a monkey wrench in that.
Yeah, it was hard to tell. There's multiple cars with a 0 out there. Wow, okay, well, I'm going to try and figure this one out. We do have some methods here to try and suss out when the caution came out here.
In the meantime, Joe, it looks like now everybody that was on the lead lap is heading to pit road.
And that makes sense to me, honestly. Okay, let's see if I can find them as I figured out when the caution came out, and it was Nick Hunter. Nick Hunter, who had just taken a stop. And this is what we saw in the qualifying. It looks like cold tires are a bit sketchy in these trucks.
Well, that'll be something to pay attention to once we get back to green.
Off of pit road, Bradley Holly is the first. Adam Young did not pit, but he was lapped just before there. It looks like Acosta behind him. And Doug Evans in 4th. I think, now, didn't we see Sink pit? Yeah, Sink pitted right as the yellow flag came out, I'm pretty sure. Did he go a lap down? No, he is going to get his lap back, but it'll be at the back of the field. So he did sacrifice pretty much every inch of his track position.
And it looks like Elliott White's jumped up a couple spots off that pit stop. He now is ahead of Josh Conker. That's going to put all 4 of our championship contenders in the top 5 when we go back to green.
Wow. The cream really does rise to the top here in PRL. And there you can see the positions lost and gained, and Conker a bit skewed for what we think was a mistake in qualifying, 16 up. Adam Young, who did not qualify, also has gained a bit. He's up 14. Okay, then. So Conker up to 5th position will net him 38 points before you get to any bonuses. He hasn't lit a lap, so he doesn't have that one. He didn't get the pole. The caution points, I'm not sure if we'll be able to figure those out before the stewards deem them. And unfortunately, a 0 caution points will be worth 3. And that is going to be significant with working with such small margins here today. So hopefully we'll be able to get something relatively official before we close this out and be able to declare a champion here this evening. But it might be tricky.
Yeah, I mean, I took my socks off trying to figure this out, Joe. So I'm hoping it's less than 20.
Well, right now, for what it's worth, Conquer, before the bonus points, will lose 4 points to Holly, which will not be enough. He needs to make up 8 points. But we already know he's got the pole, so that's 2 more. That's 6 points difference between them. He only needs 2 more bonus points if Conquer finishes in that 5th spot, and he'll be able to tie him, and he'll take the win, or he'll take the championship on a tie on points because he has more wins.
Wait, didn't Acosta qualify on pole?
You're right. Thank you very much. Already confused my notes. So, okay, it is 4 points difference then. So he does need 4 more.
I'm just glad that I didn't blank out on qualifying.
I'm glad you didn't too. Somebody's got to keep me honest up here. We're going to restart on lap 64. As we've already got the lights off. Again, your starting order is going to be Holly, Acosta, Evans, White, and Conquer. And the only one not in the championship hunt in that group is Doug Evans. For those curious, he actually is in 6th in the points. And he is mathematically eligible for what it's worth, but we have already passed the halfway point, so that has gone out the window. There's not enough trucks here today for him to score enough points over any others who DNF. We've already had one, which was Nick Hunter. Pace truck is in, and Holly is off. No wait there for Bradley Holly. This time, Acosta starting from behind him on the restart. Will he be able to hold on to him like he did on the latter half of the last stint? Ooh, down at the bottom, Doug Evans seemed to get a little bit loose, and he starts to fall backwards as White moves up into 3rd, and Conquer might get into 4th.
So now our championship contenders 1st through 4th on the track, just to make things even more stressful.
Not quite in reverse order as well. Conquer leading the championship. Oh, and sitting in 4th, but getting very tight behind the deck lid of the 27. And he immediately goes underneath him. Josh Conquer has got this track figured out. Even if he can't do the hot laps, he's got the race pace and is making everybody look like they're standing still. Once again, though, early in the stint, Elliott White just bleeding positions as Shane is also going to go through.
That's the same issue he had last time, Joe. It's like it just takes him a little bit longer to get in the groove once they get back to racing.
There was a little bit of a look for the lead from Acosta, but he went high off of 4, and he drops back behind Holly once again. Oh, is White going to lose another one? Zemke was trying for it.
Well, how about this, Joe? Of our top 3 all-championship contenders, Josh Conquer was the quickest that time around.
Ooh, and fastest lap is worth a bonus point. I was wrong. It was Evans that was going by the 27 of White, and now Zemke is 2, and the 57 does it the high side around into 6. White falling to 7th position, and last time he didn't get up as high on his charge back when it seemed like he liked the truck a little better. So I don't think this is just a ploy to save tires. I think this is genuine as we get another caution. It's Thomas Sink. No. Who is this? It's Baron Hilton. Oh, no.
Well, there's a driver that can't seem to catch a break the last couple weeks. These great qualifying performances that he's had, unfortunately, the race seems to go disastrous.
And Patrick Cowgill's unfortunately going to plow into him as Brett Adams also finds himself just running right into the scene of the accident. Here is the 47 making his mistake. The rear's going to get loose. Overcorrected.
That's just such an easy mistake to make at this track.
And watch from Cowgill's on board.
Yeah, Cowgill had nowhere to go. The 47 ricochets off the wall right into Cowgill's path.
There was very little time for reaction. Even if he did manage to react, I'm not sure he'd be able to have done, be able to do something. Elliott White coming into the pits. This is Okay. So what is going on here? They should be good for fuel to the end, I'm pretty certain.
I'm curious if this is maybe a desperation move with the way he's been bleeding positions, maybe just trying to do something different, maybe get his race back on track.
A number of drivers did come in. Cervantes, looks like Hunter, Kalen, Young also pitted.
Yeah, White's taking tires, Joe.
Okay, so I think you're right. Now, how many green flag laps? Now it wasn't green flag laps, so I'm seeing 11 laps since the last pit stop for all of our front runners up here. But some of that was under caution. Do you think it'll make that much of a difference with what? Maybe about 5-6 laps of green flag racing?
I guess it can't hurt, but I mean, he's given up a ton of track position to pull this off, so I guess for Elliott White's sake, I hope it works, but it doesn't really compute much with me.
Well, the way it can hurt is they only have 4 sets of tires. Now, that includes the ones they started the race on. So he is on his 3rd set right now, and he's only got 1 more chance to change tires. If we get cautions at the end, and it does turn out that even 7 laps makes a difference, he's kind of taken away one of his good opportunities.
But on the flip side, if this goes green to the end, he'll have the freshest tires on the track. So
True.
It's definitely a gamble, but I can see how it could work, but just seems like there's a much bigger chance of it not working.
I guess in White's defense, if he is thinking championship-wise, he's got to do something a little bit different. You mentioned how we keep pointing out he seems to drop off early in the stint. So, you know, if he keeps doing that, he's obviously not going to win the championship. He needs to go out and get up front and take a whole bunch of bonus points as well, because he's coming in 12 points behind Conker. I guess this is basically his Hail Mary.
Well, when you're at the 4th down, what else can you do?
We're not quite on the 4th down of the pace laps. We've still got 1 more to go once we get to the line. The lights are still on the pace truck. But Holly, I don't think has, Holly definitely does not have the win in the bag at this point, with Conker riding in 3rd position. That's good enough for 40 points. It's only 2 points difference between first and where Josh sits.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how Josh Conker does restarting 3rd, given just how fast he's been. I mean, all 3 of our top runners look really anxious to get this one back underway.
Yep, already doubled up and ready to go. We've lost another driver, unfortunately. Looks like Patrick Cowgill has also called it a night, along with Nick Hunter. Brett Adams and Barron Hilton might be DNFs. I'm guessing they're not coming back in because it's 4 minutes and 3 minutes for each of them of repairs at this point. If they do get back on track, they'll be many, many laps down. Not much for them to fight for, sadly, especially with championships on the line between other drivers. So I expect them to probably stay put and just watch the show. Here goes the pace truck, ready to start the show because Bradley Holly is off once again. Green flag is out on lap 75. We are coming down to the final dying laps of this entire season. It's a battle for 3rd between Shane on the high side and Evans down low. Make that a battle for 4th, rather.
Pretty bold move there. Conker looked like he was trying to make a pass on Acosta. Had the door shut right in his face.
He looked fast into the corner and then had to think twice about it. Not quite as aggressive down into turn 1. Coming off of 2. They're losing a little bit of touch with Bradley Holly.
That is a fair point. I mean, Acosta having to play defense will take his eyes off the prize a little bit. And at this point, Josh Conker's got to feel like Abner Acosta's Michelle Branch everywhere he wants to be.
Coming back onto the back stretch once again as Conker, Acosta, and Holly hold down the fort. Elliott White, by the way, is into 12th right now. His laps at 24.2 last time by, 24.3 this time. Leaders are doing 24 flats. So unfortunately for White, he might have better tires, but he's using them up in traffic.
Yeah, that's part of the gamble, Joe. You give up the track position, that means you have to gain it back somehow.
So I mean, once he gets to the front, it may have evened out, or he might actually have worse tires than them anyways. As down to the inside, here goes Conker underneath Acosta. He's not got the pass done completely. The 5 riding high down the back stretch and into 3. There he goes. So Josh Conker, starting 21st today, has put himself into 2nd. We have yet to see what he can do with a straight fight between himself and Holly tonight. Does he have the pace?
This is what we've all been waiting for since the green flag fell. That 54 truck has been on a rail and has worked its way up from deep in the field to be up in 2nd spot, Joe, and now he's got to try to take down the man that's been at the head of the field for most of the race.
Holly, I think, it's not official, but from what I can tell, might get most laps led. And we haven't seen a lap led by Conker yet, so he won't get that bonus point. Just trying to do the quick math in my head of if they finish 1-2 as they are now, if Holly does have any options or ability to take the championship over Conker, or does Conker points ride back here in P2?
But you see, as always, Bradley Holly wearing his lucky shirt again does not look too affected by the pressure.
Yeah, it's hanging at about 0.4 of a second, but look at them leave behind everybody else. Acosta in 3rd is dropped back to about 0.6 of a second behind Conker. So it does appear that Josh has had the pace. He just has been fighting the field the entire race. Now that he's been freed up, we have got a clash of the Titans, essentially.
Definitely, as far as this race goes, these two have been on a different level than everybody else. And looks like that gap is closing up, at least visually, so.
Yeah, it's down to 3.3. Thomas Sink falling backwards, trying to see if I can figure out. No, he's not. Just looked like it on the timing screen for a brief while. Wasn't sure what was happening there. White's made it up to 8th, just ahead of Sink, though, after restarting this thing almost as far down as 20th.
He's trying to pull like the condensed Josh Conker move.
Yeah, I mean, quite literally. He's had to fight through the field. Conker, in the meantime, okay, so... Oh, and 3 wide behind them coming down the front stretch. This is between Cervantes, Evans, and Shane. This is for 4th.
Well, this is quite a battle we have here. Adam Shane, I'm pretty sure this is the best race he's had all season.
I'll have to check the stats on that. Oh, almost getting into the side of Evans. Cervantes drifting up a bit into the corner. They're now being joined by Elliott White. We could see some more 3 wide here, depending on how feisty White is and how much of in a hurry he is. We've only got, what, 30, little less than 30 laps to go.
Yeah, definitely reaching the point where the pay window is going to be opened up here. As you see Elliott White creeping into the picture, he is really marching to the front on those tires.
Will they last him all the way there? And will we stay green? That's the other question. Is he going to be forced into a bad scenario. Oh, but he lacks traction off of 4, and it'll give it right back to Sink. What happened there?
Well, turn 4 has bit a few people today. I guess he's lucky that's all that he had to lose.
Curious who holds the fastest lap right now, actually, is, man, things continue to be quite frantic here. Almost wonder if the 27 got out of it, seeing the action happening, feeling like he can't risk the truck. It needs this to settle out a little bit. Almost a bump between Cervantes and Evans into the corner. Thankfully, don't actually make contact, but they got within inches.
Well, just doing a quick look here, Joe, I believe Abner Acosta does have fastest lap right now with a 23.82.
Ah, well, that will steal that bonus point from both Conker and Holly. Acosta sitting in 3rd, so he's not really a part of the equation at this point for the championship hunt, unless he sees both Holly and Conker wreck out in front of him or fall down the order. My goodness, this group has just been putting on a show. Sink to the bottom side of Evans as Cervantes looks on. He's going to get a much better shot off of 4. Can he finish it up coming down to 1? No. Sink is mighty on the binders.
Wow, this is a really tough battle here, all for the back end of the top 5 as well. So definitely a good finish on the line here for all these drivers, and so far everybody keeping it clean despite the fact that they're all swapping around the track. So really excited to see how this one ends up, Joe, because there's a lot of talent there in very close proximity.
And not in close proximity is Holly and Conker. It's up to 0.8 of a second between them now. Bradley has turned up the wick. The 54 cannot hang. Let's stay here, though. Let's go up to Bradley Holly, rather. Give a glance at the man who's trying to take another championship. But he might have proved too little, too late. Sink side by side once again with Evans off of turn 4. If this causes a caution, that changes everything.
Oh, for sure, a caution right now would change the whole picture of this race.
I have to imagine most everybody would be coming into pit. White, though, will have a conundrum. Should he take his last set? It'll depend maybe on how many laps he has left to go.
Closing in on 20 to go here, Joe. And right now, it looks like Josh Conker is actually losing ground to Bradley Holly at the front of the field. So he better hope he's done enough to hang on to his points lead.
Yeah, it's back up to 1 second between the 184 and the 54. If Conker finishes where he sits, he actually will take a championship without winning a race, I'm pretty certain.
Well, I guess it shows consistency can pay off.
It won't be the first time we've seen that in the PRL, but doesn't happen often. Can't take our eyes off of this fight. This is still for that 5th position. And now it's White trying to see if he can become a part of it. Cervantes dropping off the back of them. And they're catching Adam Shane. Ooh, a little bobble there from Sink.
Well, I gotta say, Joe, the sentimentalist in me really wants to see Adam Shane come home in that 4th position after such a strong run he's had today.
Oh, into the wall goes Doug Evans. No caution, just pancakes the right side, slows it up. That'll easily give 6th to Elliott White. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, just ran out of room there and walloped the wall.
You can see the damage that it did produce on the right-hand side of that truck, unfortunately. Hopefully it doesn't cost him too much pace and he's able to limp it home. He's only got to do it for about 15 more laps. Watching between Conker and Acosta. And Conker is not only losing touch with Holly, but he's being approached by Acosta. This is not good news. The more positions that Conker loses, the more likely Holly will be able to overtake him in points.
It almost looks like Conker let him by there, Joe.
Kind of did. Is he trying to manage the tires? Can he get them to cool down and maybe come back at him a little bit later? Or is this Acosta, having saved his stuff, waiting patiently behind? Is he now making his charge? Let me look at the pace of the 5. 24.9, 25 flat, 25 flat, 25 flat. Very, very consistent for Abner Acosta.
And importantly, or most importantly, I should say, he's faster than Holly as well.
Wow. Could it be Acosta the one that manages to sneak the championship in? Because he took the pole. That's 2 bonus points right there. Leading a lap, that's a bonus point for him.
And he's got the fastest lap right now as well.
Wow. Last time by a 25.018 for Acosta. Holly was a 25.025. Still marginally faster, but very small margins on that one.
And we are rapidly running out of laps. Just about 11 to go right now.
25.151 for Acosta. Holly 25.097. Holly was faster that time. If Acosta's going to do it, he's got to turn on the afterburners and really start hacking away at that lead. He's going to have to deal with the lap truck of Kulhanek. Kulhanek's going to stay off to the high side. Thank you very much to the 89. Nicely done to see these leaders coming and stay out of their way.
Well, looks like Acosta's beginning to give up ground again. That is not what he needs to be doing here with 10 laps to go.
Oh, Elliott White just took 4th from Adam Shane. Elliott White is back into it. And he is approaching Josh Conker. Well, I say approaching. They've got 3 seconds between them. That's quite a gap. As you see the side-by-side action between Shane and Sink. That is for 5th position.
The socially distanced approach.
Exactly. Wow. Okay, so White really was just kind of hanging back, because look at how quickly he's run away from Shane and Sink. Gosh, that last lap for White was a 24.9, whereas Shane was a 25.5. He was more than half a second quicker. White actually faster than the leaders right now.
Maybe this is where the tire change pays off.
It's 9 to go. If it's going to pay off, he's got to make up 5 seconds. So half a second a lap. That's a tall order.
Yeah, that's that may be a little bit out of reach, but should I say what if we had a caution right now?
I mean, we have 1 green-white checker, so even if it comes very late, they will get a chance to try and finish it under green, but only 1 chance, as the 184. This is too close to call yet again. Conker down in 3rd with Holly running in the lead. We're going to have to do some quick math during the break to try and sort this one out. Down to 6 laps to go now. Bradley Holly still about 1.2 seconds ahead of Acosta. Conker 1.2 seconds behind him. And all the fun really happening back around 5th with Sink and Shane.
Well, Adam Shane still doing a great job now, up back to the 6th position. But those drivers that are all in front of him are some pretty big names in this series. So looks like it's going to be a good finish for Adam Shane, which is well deserved after a pretty long season for him.
Let's watch from on board Austin Hunter as he's running in 8th position. Remember Doug Evans smacking the wall? Well, he's fallen to 7th, depending on how badly he's running, which it looks like he is a few tenths off the pace. I think Austin Hunter could get himself 1 more position before this is over. Holly coming to the line, getting the 3 to go. If we do get a caution at this point, it will be a green-white checkers. Last thing that Holly wants right now, I'm sure. Two wins this season for Bradley Holly. Top 5s in half the races. Top 10s in 7 out of the 9 that have been run. 2 to go now for Bradley Holly, trying to get himself yet another championship. We ride on board with him on that favored middle lane that he's been running for pretty much the majority of the night. Now Acosta has been running him down. It's down to 0.8 of a second. But unfortunately, the race is going to end before he gets there, unless you get a big mistake from Holly here on the final lap, because the white flag is out.
So this is going to be our championship here. All 4 of our contenders in the top 4 too, Joe.
Incredible stuff. Down into turns 3 and 4. Bradley Holly is going to win the season finale, but has he won the championship? Iowa goes to the 184. Acosta recovers to second, with Conker, our points leader, finishing in third, and White wound up fourth. All 4 of those championship top 4 together. Just amazing stuff. Well, we are going to send to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results, as well as hopefully the unofficial champion as well. Stick around, because we've got more to come. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway. We have just crowned another Precision Racing League champion tonight. It's for the NASCAR Truck Series. And it was not Bradley Holly from our math, despite taking the victory today, doing everything he could, including, we think, 4 of the bonus points available. It wound up going to Josh Conker, who finished behind Abner Acosta with a second place. Josh finishing third today, rounding out the podium, climbing back from 21st. Elliott White was in fourth with Thomas Sink in P5. Something mysterious kept happening to him, along with Adam Shane in sixth. Then it's Doug Evans in P7 and Austin Hunter in the eighth position. Colton Lane was ninth with Charles Sumner in 10th.
Just outside of the top 10 was Adam Zemke in 11th position over Mark Kalin. Jim Westerfield, a solid 13th place run over Dalton Geyer. Stacy Hunter was 15th with Danny Cervantes 16th. Adam Young recovers from an early caution to finish 17th with Blaine Adams, our last driver on the lead lap. Matthew Kohanek 2 down. Nicholas Hunter a DNF.
And I believe that takes us to our winner here tonight, which is Bradley. We've got Abner Acosta in the booth now. Looks like this is our second place finisher. Abner, you tried your hardest there at the end. It looked like you actually had better pace than Brad. If it was maybe 5 more laps, do you think you could have made it a fight?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like my mistake tonight was I was saving I mean, it's going to sound crazy, but I'm saving my tires too much, I guess now. I learned how to save tire. Now I can't stop saving tires. So I got to learn how to flip the switch sooner, especially on short tracks because it's hard to pass.
Well, it looked like you for most of the race did have a pretty good measure of Bradley Hawley. In that middle stint, you were basically staying right on his bumper.
Yeah, it's really close pace. I feel like here at the beginning of the stints, you can make it work on the outside. Like if you get on somebody's outside, you can make it work, which is what Bradley did on me. I just did not expect it so soon. And then at the late stint, your tires are so worn out that it's honestly, I don't even know where you can pass at that point because the outside is not going to work. Maybe the inside if the other guy makes a mistake. But yeah, I think we had similar pace. It's just a matter of knowing when to save tire, when to push. And obviously Bradley did a better job at that.
Well, it's still been an incredible season. We've been enjoying watching your growth and whatnot in the trucks. As far as these oval tracks, is there anyone in particular that you really felt has suited you the best in this series since you've come and switched over to this style of racing?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Obviously, road course at oval side. I don't think I have a favorite track. I know at Dover I won, but I wouldn't consider or Dover I won there. Darlington I did really well. I guess I feel tracks that you really have to get on the brake. I do enjoy more. But then I've been winning at other tracks that you don't. So, but I do enjoy using the tracks that you always have to use the brake and kind of save tire, obviously, and tracks that you drop off a lot in pace if you don't save tire. I enjoy that because I feel like there's so much. There's a lot of factors in the race, so I enjoy that the most from oval.
Well, it's been a joy really getting to see you become part of the ranks here and really challenge all the front runners. Congratulations on a podium, even if it wasn't a championship tonight. Is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody at Team Hype Private Label. They basically brought me in and they've been like, you guys have noticed I've started winning races. James, Richard, Josh, Brandon, everybody, Ty, Tommy, they've all been like teaching me the oval side and fixing my mistakes. There's still a lot more to fix. So I know as I keep going, I'll just get stronger. That's good to see.
Well, again, that was our second place finisher, Abner Acosta. And I believe up next, Chris Phoebe has caught up with our winner tonight, Bradley Hawley.
Well, Brad, you gave it all you got, took the win tonight with a pretty strong race. Looks like it may be just a little bit short on the championship, but you have to say that you definitely gave it your all.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew it was going to be a tough feat, given how far back I was in the point behind Conquer to get the championship. But I wanted to come out and run the best I could tonight.
Well, the truck looked fast from the drop. How were you feeling out there? Was it as easy as it looked?
First run, I again, I think I saved a little too much and made myself tight. So that second run, after we pitted, I pushed it a little hard at the beginning to put more pressure on the right rear to loosen it up, and I felt pretty good after that.
Well, Bradley, 3 wins on the season. Maybe came up just a little bit short in the championship, but it's still got to be a pretty good season for you.
Oh, absolutely. I had some bad luck. I took myself out at Dover, and pretty much that was the downfall of getting the championship there. But other than that, I mean, I felt pretty happy with my performance, and I look forward to next season.
All right. Anybody you'd like to thank to help make today possible for you?
I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting us week in and week out. The Waterback guys for practicing and figuring out what the lines are and pit strategy and all that, and PRL.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Bradley. That's your winner today, Bradley Holly. Back to you, Joe.
That takes us to third place tonight, and by our math, unofficially, the champion this season, Josh Conker. Congratulations. Now, this is a strange one because you've done it without a single win. I mean, tell us about your feelings.
Yeah, I'm feeling there's mixed feelings right now. Obviously, I would have liked to have won a race. That would have been like really good to get the monkey off the back coming in as a rookie to win a race, but I'm really, really happy with the way the whole season played out. And there's nothing better than coming out with the championship in your rookie season at the end of it.
Absolutely. That was impressive stuff. I have to ask, though, considering you started way far back, first of all, what happened there in the qualifying? And secondly, were you trying to kind of points race as you climbed your way forward?
I had honestly the worst qualifying session of my life. I've been really good at doing like quick 1-lap runs throughout the season, and for some reason tonight I tried to come off at turn 4 and just spun the truck. I hit the outside wall and had to reset, and then I got loose again on my first flying lap after I did the reset. So the qualifying was just everywhere. I was just putting a little too much pressure on myself, trying to make sure that I could get pole to get some bonus points to kind of like secure the championship rather than have to fight Brad super hard. But yeah, like I was coming through the field there, I was just kind of like ticking off. I'm like, okay, I need to be like 6th here, 5th here. The more Brad led, the more bonus points he got. I kind of like, okay, I kind of like could estimate on where I needed to be versus just giving it all out and just trying to go for the race win.
Well, that's amazing that you had the mental fortitude to manage that as you're trying to race in what was a very tight track today. To the end, at first we thought you had something for him. You were hanging there, and then he started to run away. Did you run out of tire, or what was it?
Yeah, I pushed a little harder after Abner let me go. I wanted to see if I could get up to him and try and put a move on him. But I just pushed the right front a little too hard. It was really difficult. Iowa's not one of my better tracks at all. So I was really struggling with the tire itself and just like the overall handling of the truck this week, trying to get the feel for it and make sure that I had the pace to be up front. But yeah, I just pushed just a slight bit too hard in the right front, trying to get back to Brad there. So I mean, Abner saved, and we saw what happened there. He saved, and he had much better pace at the end of the race.
Well, regardless, it's another podium finish, another top 10, another top 5 for you, and a championship. Who would you like to thank for that achievement?
I'd like to start off by thanking Ty Stover and Tommy Milner for bringing me on for the season. Unproven rookie, and they took a big chance on me, so I'd like to thank them for that. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Private Label, Ethica, my sponsor, Lone Palm Design Custom Helmet Paints, and I'd obviously like to thank all my teammates, James O'Brien, Richard Regan, Abner Costa, Brandon Walter, Sheldon Atkins. If it wasn't for these guys pushing us every week, trying to, make sure that we were the best that we could be, none of this would have been possible.
That was Josh Conker, our champion here today and third place finisher. As far as those podium stats go, he finished on the podium in 6 out of the 10 rounds. Incredible stuff. But we are going to close up, and of course, we are going to thank our sponsors before we go, starting with Simulation Motorsports Affinity. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net. And NinjaTrader. Get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance at NinjaTrader.com. And finally, ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen, and additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. You can check out her Bandcamp, which we've listed for you. Thanks to the team today, Chris, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or simply check out our social media. We've got the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. If you'd like to support us, go check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. Link is in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race, when we come back next season, will be Wednesday, June 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern. But we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.